So I welcome you to part 6 of this series of 7 videos about the Betmaster Tool, introducing it, explaining it, and hoping to get you curious or trustful as well, that you understand there's a lot behind it and a lot of benefit for you, of course. And in this one we are going to explain partly the statistical functions there are, which there's still a lot more about it, but we try to introduce it, what we can do to check out if our calculations are good, how good they are. And there are those 7 videos, which is part 1 is explaining the idea, part 2 basic mathematics, part 3 is on the calculation methods, part 4 is explaining the simulation, part 5 is on the how to maintain the strength, the evaluations of the teams or the participants of an event. Part 6, this one here, these statistic functions. Part 7 will be on the results of the Betmaster. And there are many methods to determine the value of this tool or the quality or the there are many methods to try to improve, and I will try to introduce a couple of. One of them, of course, the easiest method is always the one, count your money. So if someone is using it, he's winning money, as I did, and I still always kept checking those statistics, of course, in all areas, also to be able to improve. But if you got enough money, then you say, it's working, so why bother? How can I improve to be good? Well, you are happy. But this method is, of course, not so reliable. Either you may also be lucky, or you may have many evaluations of other games that you did not care for or so, but also you cannot prove to anyone, right? You show your wallet and you say, well, this is full, how's yours? I mean, still you would at some point try to find a better method to check out whether your calculations are good. Any mathematician would do anyway. And apart from this method, counting your money, which is a very good method, and especially if it's getting more. But it's also not a purely mathematical method to count the money and say there's quite a bit that I have. And there's asked for some better methods in statistics. We have to understand that in the calculation of probabilities, we are already partly leaving the sector of pure mathematics, because we are losing the exactness. And even more, if we are exactness, is it the word? At least we can't be this fully exact. It's just probabilities, especially if we understand that those probabilities are never to be determined. They are calculated for events that are not being repeated, so you can't make any statistics for one evaluation of a certain game. All you can do is take all the stats together and compare with with something. That's what I'm trying to explain, of course. But and in statistics, it's even getting more unmathematic, if you want so, right? Because statistics, well, anything can happen. This is a certain probability for this deviation or so. So it's even less exact, the statistics. And this is a bit funny, because like that in mathematics, even this whole probability calculation and statistics are a bit lower rated in mathematics, right? Because they say, no, well, we do not know, so we would rather stick to the things we can be certain of. And we cannot expect really exact matches between what we expected and what has occurred. So, and still we have methods to improve. Okay, now I'm in the last step. I'm just going to tell you what we can compare. First of all, we can always say how many goals did we expect and how many have occurred. This is the way we calculate the goal expectancies. and in the end we have results and we have deviations, but still we can say in the end, well, we expected like 1,350 goals for this league, or for a certain amount of games, and there had been 1,410 or so. So you say, well, was it good? Was it bad? I don't know yet, but there will be sometimes they will fit better, and sometimes there will be bigger deviations. Then you can still ask yourself, well, do I have to improve here, or what's going wrong? Even if you start to observe some deviations, then you can always say, well, I'm not so certain in this league, in this competition, in this market, whatever it is, right, where you get those deviations. So you need to check, and you can make use of it, apart from just checking how to react to it properly. But now we had the goal average, which means just the goals you expected, the goals that occurred, and you have always this comparison for a given set of games. And you can do it for every competition, for plenty of games, one whole season of all the leagues or whatever it is for, yeah. And then you compare and you see, okay, deviation, maybe I was wrong, maybe I was right, I'm doing fine, or I can adjust something or improve. And the second one would be home advantage. Just to give you one example, you expect a certain home advantage, you have a certain home advantage. How many goals did you expect for the home teams and for the away teams? How many did they score? So you always have this comparison you need. And when you see bigger deviations, you can say, oh, maybe I'm not so good, maybe I can improve here. You need to do that every now and then, or you have to do it actually all the time. And it's another value to compare, and which you can make use of. And there's, for example, as well, the number of home wins, which still can be a difference. You expected the goals well, still the home wins are not coming as many as you expect. And of course, the same for the draws and the away wins. The draws are very important because this is one pretty touchy thing. Of course, they are all important, but the draws may develop also for some psychological reasons, right? People are more afraid to lose the game, so they rather defend than attack also. And so you have to be very careful about the draws. And if there's a deviation, you can say either we can improve here, I'm doing this myself too, because there's this draw factor that I can also adjust, and we can do league-wise and so on. And still we have to compare those values and check out if we are doing well here. And then we have two a bit more sophisticated things, but I can quickly introduce and explain to you. There's an average goal deviation we expect. This is pretty mathematical, but still it can tell you the long run whether or not your predictions make sense in altogether, because you have a certain deviation expected and a certain deviation occurring more or less per game, but this you can sum up. If you see a deviation there, then you can say something is going wrong. I've done this over the years, and I see there's actually no deviation, which means my determination of those goal expectancies is approved here right as well. Apart from taking the sums, you can still be wrong in certain. There you have too many expected, there you have too few, and in the end you have the right total. But with this deviation, you can even see that the whole bunch of all the games that you predicted have the expected deviation. So that means every single one has to be pretty exact. And there's the last one, which would be the average probability that I determine, and the average probability that occurred. And this is a very, well, it's a bit complicated, but if you understand and know that it's kept track of, and later know how to use it, how to read it, you can do lots of things with it. But first of all, we can always do this comparison with what I expected and what occurred, also in the sense of expected goal deviations per game and average probabilities per game that I expected and that occurred, which tells you I have this shaped pretty well, or if there are deviations, there is something not going so well. So at least I explained a couple of things. We can check that in more detail, of course, if you have the access to the tool, or if you follow my Twitch streams or other videos. Here I was doing it a bit theoretically, but still I hope you understand, and I hope it makes you trust a lot more into this tool and this whole concept. Thanks a lot for watching, and bye bye, see you soon. Keep going.